Aloha and good afternoon. I'm Dylan Ancheta in the H&N Digital Center. Thank you so much for tuning in to this special Hawaii News Now live stream. We are awaiting a news conference with Governor Josh Green alongside Maui Mayor Richard Bissen as they are set to discuss the Maui interim housing plan. You can see a live shot of the press conference there. It was slated to start at 2 o'clock, so it could happen any minute now. And let's go ahead and send you live there as we see Governor Josh Green approaching the podium.
Joining us today. I'm just really going to kick us off, and much of the substance is going to come after me from Mayor and other partners like Mike Akane, CEO of HCF, CNHA's President, CEO Kuhio Lewis, our FEMA leadership, and definitely our Red Cross leadership. So the first slide that you see here is perhaps the most important thing that we're talking about today. Today we are announcing a formalized alliance, though we are always an ohana, but this is a formal agreement that we've gone into together to help make sure everyone in Maui is housed, those who've been displaced. So when we say we are talking about the state, Maui County, Hawaii Community Foundation, CNHA, FEMA, and the American Red Cross. And then of course we've had so much support from philanthropy as well. You'll see the details of that in subsequent slides. You'll hear us talk about what we hope to achieve, which we will achieve, which is to secure housing units in large numbers by March 1st, 2024. And then we also have some aspirational goals which we intend to meet for July 1st. We're taking this in bites because it's a very large lift to care for those families who have been without stable housing for a significant time. We all know that it is too challenging to continue to live in hotels. We need to get people into stable housing so they can move on with their lives. So this collaborative brings together this hui, as I mentioned. We are at a special place today, Maui Lani. I'm going to let the mayor describe what this place means and why we're here today. Let's go to the next slide. So the issue, over 2,600 people are still in hotels. I should say household units are still in hotels today. They've been in hotels for 5 months. We need more stable options in the next short term so that for 24 months, people can have a settled life while we determine permanent solutions. Hotels have been gracious partners with us and will remain gracious partners. We will still have some hotel relationships, but we have to carry forward our lives. And so the key contributors you're seeing in this hui are going to help solve the problem with resources, with plans, and as we build homes. So now I think it's the time for me to hand the mic over to the mayor, and then he and I will break out some of the additional details. Mayor.
Mahalo, Governor Green. Next, it is our combined pleasure to welcome Maui County Mayor Richard Bissen.
Hello, everyone. Council members that are here, members of the Line Advisory Team, of course, our partners. First of all, I just want to say today is about collaboration. It's about commitment, and it's about certainty. Those are the things we are trying to achieve through this effort of collaboration. We are here to solidify our shared commitment to our memorandum of understanding that we will be entering into. Our partnership aims to address the immediate housing needs of not only individuals and resilient and affordable housing. We want to get people into safe, stable, and secure housing. We all want that. To provide support to those affected homeowners, to reinforce the housing infrastructure and the increased resilience that that's going to require, to align our housing solutions with the evolving workforce needs that are obviously being impacted by all of this. and to ensure the stability, as I mentioned, and that security that we all offer to our residents. The governor's going to join me now to go over some of the long-term housing details, midterm and long-term housing. Keep this one. Yeah.
Okay. So, make sure we're on the slide. Yeah, this is probably the most detailed slide we're going to have today, although we're going to break out the money numbers here in a moment. Again, mahalo to everyone who's participated in this. This has been a lot of heartfelt work and an incredible set of partners in Hawaii Community Foundation, CNHA, in this latest edition, because we've been working closely with Red Cross for quite some time in the county. So some of this success is possible, or has been made possible, because the county council took bold action. And the council and the mayor passed a bill that has given us a pathway to get more people to rent their short-term properties into the long-term. That's really important. You're going to see why. Now look in that first column here in December. In December, we were still at 3,000 plus. These are households, right? That's over 6,000 people were in the short-term hotels, in hotel rooms, really wrestling, because we didn't have enough capacity to have people move into condos and houses. We had, in December, going right down this list, about 160 households in the host family program. Mayor did a great job with that because it's very affordable and it's local people, local money. And then we had these other categories, which were not very robust yet, other places that people could go live. So that was December, and now we're making some good strides. And the mayor is going to kind of break out where we're headed now. And it's really significant changes as you look at now in March.
So I just want to talk about why this place was selected today, and I want to thank CNHA for helping to arrange this location and this event. So behind me, over to on my shoulder to the right, there are 17 lots that the county still owns, and our plan, with the help of Hawaii Community Foundation, is to put 34 modular units or accessory dwelling units on those properties just as soon as we can order them and have them on Maui. There are another 17 lots that we're all sitting at right now that the county actually negotiated with one of our other partners, Nahaleo Maui, and we're going to discuss with them the possibility of taking some of these lots and using them in the next 2 years to house, again, another 34 units on this side. The other pieces of property have already been spoken for by the Maui Health Foundation, and so we know that's being used in a positive way too. So as far as some of the specifics of those units, you can see the others that we have here, some that are happening right now and some that are soon to happen that we're excited about. For example, residences being cleared, having power, having water, having sewer, and those properties being available for people to return to their homes, those that have obviously been asking for that. So again, some of the other details, add up to about 1,500 of the homes that we're hoping, units. And there's more work to be done, everybody. I just don't want to fool anybody. But there's a lot of positives that are happening now. There's more to come, and we're excited and take questions. I did want to say something. I did want to thank Akaku and the radio stations that are putting this out live right now for us. Appreciate that. Thank you.
So as Mayor reflects on that, and then we're going to turn this over to Micah, you can see what he's saying when he says that right now we're making progress and we're now up to 1,459 available spaces for people to go live. In fact, Stewart is sitting in someone's living room right now of the future. Okay, this is going to be a unit, as Mayor pointed out. But our aspirations are to get enough long-term rentals converted over for us. We need that. And so if we can make an appeal, and I'll say it, and I know a lot of people are going to say, please look into your hearts. Take up the offers that are being made by all of our partners, FEMA, DHS, CNHA. Look into your heart and rent your short-term rental long-term for a fair market value. Take advantage of the tax breaks, property tax breaks that the county has generously offered. That is where this 1,500 number will come from. And you will see us then progress by the time we get to July to have a lot more housing for people so that we are stable for these 2 years.
Mahalo, Governor Green and Mayor Bissen. Moving forward, please welcome Hawaii Community Foundation President and CEO Micah Kane.
Aloha mai kako. this MOU is much more than just a funding agreement. I look at it as an operating agreement. It's an accountability document, as Mayor Bissen said. It's going to be something that we're going to be able to develop a scorecard and a dashboard to be reporting out our performance over time. It's also a result of the convening of the Maui County Recovery Support Function. And I really want to give a shout out to Josiah Nishita, current managing director, along with his deputy, Keanu Lauhi. I mean, their ability to convene, the 6 of us on a weekly basis, to get our input, to give us their input has really been, this is a work product of that effort. So I really want to recognize their leadership and their commitment over time. I also want to acknowledge that this document is really about recognizing roles and responsibilities. And while disasters have pretty traditional phases by which we go through, this was a complex one. And so figuring out what role we each can play in a very efficient way so that we can do the best work for the families that were affected was at top of mind when we developed this MOU. I think it also aims to scale a lot of the pilot projects that occurred throughout these convenings. Early in the process, thanks to the leadership of CNHA and Kuhio Lewis, the first program was launched with the host family program. Today we have 200 families that are benefiting from that. We have 200 families that are receiving resources for that. We also recognized from Kuhio's data that we needed to pay more, and it had a little bit too short of a shelf life. And so we increased that to $500 from $375 and up from $1,500 to $2,000. So we're hoping that's a little bit more of an incentive and a way in which the pilot project kind of reacted to the market demand. And so we think there's another 500 in there. I think based on what's in CNHA's pipeline, we think that's a very viable goal, and that's why that number is there. A couple weeks ago, we launched the short-term rental conversion program, the leasing program, again through CNHA out at Kihei. In the first 24 hours, 450 applications came in. So we think that there's promise there. We don't think our numbers are unrealistic, and I think Kuhio and his team are providing really good data to help us understand that market so that we can transact accordingly. And then finally, the ADU program that the mayor and the governor talked about. Again, another pilot program that is being launched both by the county as well as CNHA that we think has huge promise for us. When you look at the 1,500 units that sit in the short-term rental or the specifically the short-term rental, we want to drive that number down. We want to do as much permanent build as possible, and I think that's really where our performance is going to be measured. So we're really excited about that. This really commits members over time. We're ready to roll up our sleeves. I think this is a major, not just a financial commitment, but a moral and value commitment that we should have to the people of Maui that were affected. And then finally, I just want to give a big shout out to Red Cross and to FEMA. They've been great partners. Red Cross really stepped up, in the host family program in partnership as a major funder. They've been at the table with us, at every week. And I also want to recognize Bob Fenton from FEMA. I mean, the guy's a bull, and we just really appreciate, his presence in the work we're doing. So on behalf of our organization, really want to thank you folks for the work that we're all getting to do. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Micah. Up next, it's my pleasure to introduce Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement President and CEO Kuhio Lewis.
Aloha, everybody. There's one slide that we kind of skipped over, so I'm going to help Mike out over here. This is the funding slide. You want to come explain the funding slide? So this is essentially what's going on right now is everyone's throwing some money in and focusing those resources on housing. We know it's priority one. So of course, coming in big is our federal government, FEMA. The state of Hawaii is also committing a large amount of money, $150 million. The county of Maui is committing $40 million. Hawaii Community Foundation with $50 million, and our PNOT $5 million from our Kako Maui fund, as well as another $5 million from other philanthropy. But this is again a coming together of all of the entities, and I think this is an underlying challenge that survivors might be seeing is like there's so much going on. How do we access it? How does this matter? How does all of these different programs, whether state, county, private, how do they work together? And so this today is, in addition to just, it's about, here's the plan. Here's how we're all working together, how these resources are going to support a path forward for us. I want to give recognition because I just think it's important that, everybody has kulana, they all have responsibility, they have a role. And, I want to give a shout out to those that have been down in Lahaina on the beach calling for housing. This is, at the end of the day, this is in response to that kahea. Like we also recognize how important it is, and now we're responding. So shout out to you guys. Thank you for holding it down, for keeping the pressure on. Also, our Lahaina Advisory Committee, who's here today, members of them are here, who got to feel the brunt of it from that community. Mahalo for your kokua. I also want to thank the over 200,000 donors that have supported both Hawaii Community Foundation and CNHA's funds and other funds out there. This today is a result of all of your contributions. So your money's at work, and I think it's important to recognize all of those donations that have come in. Mahalo nui from really the bottom of our heart on behalf of the Maui community. We're now going to start ensuring those monies start hitting the mark in terms of housing. A constant theme that has emerged from survivors that we've experienced and heard is that it's so difficult to navigate the myriad of programs that are out there. And so we launched the Kako Maui Resource Center, which over 4,000 people have taken advantage of. We've appealed FEMA decisions through that resource center. We've been very successful. And whether it was Red Cross resources or whether it was even mental health challenges, that has become a go-to for our community. It's a cultural-based approach to helping families where they need it. Now we've launched an online version, helpingmaui.org. So, for those that can't physically go to Kako Maui's Resource Center, go online. The same resources and information that's available at the Resource Center will also be available on helpingmaui.org. And helpingmaui.org is really our version of a matching tool. It's kind of like our version of Airbnb, where landlords can go apply their units and survivors can go seek a unit, and then we match them up. So if you're looking for housing survivors, go to helpingmaui.org. If you're a landlord and you want to kokua, support these families, go to helpingmaui.org. It's a centralized site for both sides. And just in closing, we're here to help. CNHA, if there's any one thing that we can do, it's distill information, it's break it down, and making sure that you can access these programs and the help that's needed. And just in closing, hang in there. We're coming together. We're here to help. And my aloha to all of you, and look forward to continuing that support.
Mahalo Kuhio. Next, please welcome FEMA's Field Coordinating Officer, TJ Dargan.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am the Federal Coordinating Officer for this disaster. Regional Administrator Fenton couldn't be here, but he sends his best to you all. I'd like to thank Governor Green, Mayor Bissen, and the people of Hawaii for welcoming us into their lives and guiding our combined efforts towards recovery. Recovery takes a whole community. Due to authority limitations placed on the government, having private sector and nonprofit partners like the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement is essential to providing additional resources to survivors. FEMA supports the MOU that the state has entered into with CNHA, as this will be critical to our collective partnership in helping those who are displaced, especially the most vulnerable. We applaud the efforts and acknowledge the important role that CNHA and other nonprofits have in providing critical housing resources to survivors. FEMA will continue working closely with state, county, ARC, and CNHA to house and assist survivors on their path to recovery. To date, FEMA has approved more than $41 million in assistance through the Individual and Households Program. $15.7 million has been provided in rental assistance to 3,861 households. Approximately 300 households have received or applied for continued rental assistance. Hopefully through partnerships like this one, this number will increase. Under FEMA's direct housing program, eligible survivors are matched to a suitable unit for up to 18 months. Approximately 1,500 survivors are eligible for direct housing. As of today, we've identified 600 units and are pursuing 1,000 more. If you or someone you know is interested in leasing leasing units to FEMA for the direct lease program, please email Maui Housing 2024 at FEMA.dhs.gov. 2,400 households are currently being housed in 33 hotels with the non-congregate sheltering program, and that's a partnership with Red Cross and the state. We estimate $200 million in FEMA reimbursable costs have been put out so far. Our goal is to move these survivors into more safe and secure housing within the next 30 days. We're leveraging the direct housing program, evaluating the need for group sites, and supporting the relationship mentioned today to make this happen. To ensure the needs are met of the most vulnerable survivors, we ask those in hotels to return to their residence as soon as it is safe to do so. We also ask those who have insurance or alternative housing solutions to leverage these resources so help is focused on those who need it the most. While NCS is slated to end on February 10th, 2024, we have received an extension request from the governor. We're evaluating this request for those that are eligible for FEMA assistance and do not have alternative housing options available. FEMA is committed to ensuring that every eligible survivor receives a solution. As we continue reviewing this request, I want to reiterate that any extension would be for hotels only, as we're actively pursuing condos for survivors in our direct lease program. FEMA is here for the long haul. We will be here to help survivors transition into safe and secure housing, and we'll be here to see Lahaina recover. Thank you.
Mahalo, TJ. Next and finally, I'd like to introduce American Red Cross Assistant Director of External Relations, Mary Simpkins.
Aloha, everyone, and thank you. I'd like to begin by thanking Governor Green and Mayor Bissen for their leadership and dedication. I'd also like to thank the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement for their close partnership, and I'd like to thank Kumuhina for the blessing today. Since the night of this disaster, when we opened the first 2 temporary emergency shelters, we have now served over 1 million meals to residents in our shelters in partnership with FEMA and the state. At the peak of the non-congregate sheltering program, there were over 8,000 individuals in hotel temporary emergency shelters. We are now just under 6,000, almost 5 months in, so that's almost 25%, more than 25%. We are pleased to partner with CNHA to support the interim housing solutions, helping individuals and families on the road to recovery. These solutions will help those in our shelters with the fewest recovery resources. Between the direct financial assistance of immediate assistance, bridge assistance, and shelter resident transition, we have given over $25 million to help our shelter residents on their road to recovery. And I just wanted to say that our slide isn't up, but any questions that you have, please call 1-800-RED-CROSS. You'll be directly connected to a Hawaii helpline. You can also go to redcross.org/HI-help. And I want to give a final thank you to Kuhio for his strategic and thoughtful collaboration on this project. Mahalo, and it's an honor to serve this community.
Mahalo, Mary. Now I would like to welcome questions from the media. Please raise your hand and await my acknowledgement, at which time you will be asked to state your name and news organization before proceeding with asking your question. In the spirit of allowing, Chelsea already has her hand up, you'll go first. In the spirit of allowing everyone in attendance the time to ask a question, we kindly request your kokua in raising one initial question per media outlet. You're welcome to ask additional questions after all media outlets have had their chance to ask a question. Mahalo nui, and Chelsea, you're up. Chelsea's question is around the site that we're here today at Maui Lani and Iwi Kupuna, potentially some controversy over that.
Thank you, Chelsea. We will make sure that we have cleared all of those before we begin building it.
Follow up? You're good? All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, on the ITD, do we have a number of short-term vacation rental owners who are interested in housing our survivors?
And A's question is around, do we have a number of interested short-term rental vacation owners who want to participate in the program? Okay.
I should probably provide some clarification. There's multiple different initiatives going on. FEMA has their direct lease program, which I believe I heard him say they have about 1,000 units that they're working on negotiating. CNHA is also some form of a leasing agreement. We have in our portal, we have over 600 interested short-term rental owners. I'm not sure the exact number with the FEMA, but I heard him say 1,000. So it's coming around. So over 1,000 for sure.
And just so people remember the complexity of this question. So on the one hand, you have individuals that qualify for the FEMA programs, and so they're handling that population of households. They already have essentially 600, and they're moving on the large number of additional people that have reached out. That's the 1,000 number. And then those who have not qualified for traditional support because they were either displaced in other circumstances or they were immigrants that weren't citizens, people from the COFA states. Those individuals we all are also going to be supportive of as members of this family, and they are going through the programs that are being spearheaded by COHIO at CNHA and Department of Human Services, and that's why you see some federal dollars and some state and philanthropy dollars, and you have those two tracks.
Can I add one? So as of January 2nd, the county's Department of Finance received 50 requests for exemptions. That's just one way to count how many people are converting from long-term to short-term. They're requesting the exemption, but they're given until January 31st to make that request. So we still have time before we can get you a true number.
I just think I should add that there are, according to the county tax records, there are over 27,000 short-term rentals in Maui County. So there's a lot of rentals that still got to come forward. In our experience in talking with a lot of them, they're just trying to understand the program better, understand the tax incentive better. And so that's kind of what's underway right now is we are educating them. We are trying to get them comfortable with the program. So we expect more to come forward.
Stu?
Yeah, so following up on that, on Kuhio's, what you were just saying, this seems like a lot of work. I mean, we're talking 1,500 in total right now. You're talking to people, the mayor's having to talk to people. Can you explain to everyone how these negotiations happen and just the mechanics of going from 50 in December to 1,500, hopefully, in March?
Stu had a very long question, which boils down to, can you walk us through 50 now to 1,500 at the end of the program?
How do they do it?
Right, the mechanics of that process, the number change.
So I'll have FEMA add some complexity to this answer too. So right now FEMA is negotiating with a lot of support. They have 3 property management companies that they're working with, and in addition to that, they're also able to negotiate with some large property owners that have hundreds of units. So our hope is that not only do we get people coming forward because the tax benefit and because people are getting fair market value for their short-term rentals for these 2 years, but also large groups of people can enter the program. It is a complex process, which means that in some cases it's been one by one by one. But once people understand that they're going to be given a fair market value for their short-term rental, which is a lot of money, and the tax break, this is a good opportunity for people to put their hand up and say they want to support local families and to enter into this plan, because once we have housed everyone, other people will not actually have as good a deal, honestly, and they will have done something very special for all of the people here on Maui.
The governor's exactly right. We have 3 property managers that we've contracted with that know the local resources, and they're providing us with those initial leads that we then follow up with and try to sign a lease with. The mayor's staff has also turned us on to a lot of opportunities and options that are out in the community that we followed up on. We've also done 2 business days with owners and contractors or property managers. We've sent out flyers and letters to those folks explaining the opportunities, explaining the long-term stability of a FEMA lease, and so forth. So we've shaken that tree pretty hard, and as we've said, we have 600 units that we're in the process of leasing at this time, and we have 1,000 more in the pipeline to follow up with. And we'll continue shaking that tree until we've got sufficient resources for all. We also will turn over those options that we can't close to like CNHA and other entities that are also pursuing these kinds of leases, but not within the FEMA pipeline.
Mahalo. Paul?
Paul, Maui alert. I just want to make sure, sorry if I'm slow, but up to speed on the news of today, which is, it sounds like the additional modular units going in Maui. Can we get a timeline and some specifics on what that looks like, please?
So, simple question from Paul, which is, can we get a timeline and more detailed specifics on this Maui project? Mahalo.
I think the purpose of today is multifaceted. One is to highlight a project that's coming, an actual build. This is a multifaceted approach to tackle housing. This is one of those approaches. We're going to be building houses. The other is short-term rentals. In terms of Maui Lani, we're looking at a 3 to 4 month build to develop on these 17 lots, 34 units. These are modular homes that are prefabricated. They'll be here in the islands, hopefully within the next 8 weeks, and we'll be constructing them. So the hope is that we will be moving families in as soon as 3 to 4 months from today.
So the plumbing is all there, the electric's all there?
The infrastructure is already in place. These are shovel-ready lots, which is why they were selected as the first set of builds. But of course, earlier we heard comments about archaeological concern. We're gonna make sure all of that is clear before anything progresses. But this is the lowest hanging fruit right now, and that's partly why we're here today.
How do people get signed up? I mean, who's getting in?
So there's going to be a process, or of course we're going to probably prioritize those that have families first. But we haven't determined what exactly that criteria is. We'll be working with the county to figure that out. What I can share is this is county land. Hawaii Community Foundation is going to be financially committing to purchasing the units, and CNHA will be helping with the getting the families into the units and managing the property for the next few years.
I can add to that. Thank you for that. The other reason is we own this land. This is owned by the county, so we don't have to negotiate with a landowner. I also wanted to share that we've also been identifying lots for accessory dwelling units, vacant lots, similar to this. We've identified over 200 of those, and if we combine them with some of the areas that are not vacant lands, there's about 500. And so we're pursuing that as well.
Allison, I do see you, but I'm going to go home rule and give to Wendy first.
Wendy Osher with Maui Now and Pacific Media Group. I was just wondering if you had a timeline for all the people that remain in the hotels, when they're going to transition out, and how often they're still moving. Is it monthly?
So the question is around the timeline for those still remaining in hotels, the timeline regarding moving them completely out.
Right now, our goal is 30 days to move those FEMA eligible families out of the non-congregate sheltering and into our direct lease program. We also have the possibility of building a group site that'll take longer if we don't get enough direct lease products, but right now we've got almost 70 families licensed in, and we're doing more and more every week. It's really starting to pick up speed.
And let's pull that slide back up again. It's got the okay. There we go. Yeah. If you look at the March 1 date, that's kind of our goal, to have everyone that can possibly be moved from the short-term hotels into all of the other different options. Which is why we maintain some hotel rooms. Which hotel rooms are we at? Yes, forgive me. Royal Lahaina and Hagai, which was mentioned earlier by Micah, are still hotels. There are a lot of different types of people in the circumstance of being displaced. Some, of course, are workers at the hotels, single men or women that are there already. Makes some sense. So we're trying to make sure that each family circumstance fits these many options. But the quicker we get people out of the short-term hotels, the sooner they have some normalcy in their life. And also, it's just very difficult to stay in a hotel with that little space. So that's the reason. And let me just say, from a heartfelt space, we would have loved to do this sooner rather than later. It's just a long, complex process to build or to get a major transition from short-term rentals to long-term rentals. Now that the holiday season has passed, is more than time to give every possible option. And we've begun the process in some cases, but as you can see, and you heard before, about 25% of people have been able to be moved from short-term hotels.
Thank you. And to address the portion of your question about hotel moves, our next big move is not scheduled until the end of the month, but even that, like all hotel contract deadlines, our national lodging team is actively working to extend those for as long as possible to ensure the stability of our clients. I also want to mention that as individuals and families move out of their temporary emergency shelters, our shelter resident transition teams are standing ready to answer any questions and concerns and treat each individual as an individual and make sure that they're comfortable moving into their next chapter. Thank you.
Okay, Allison, I appreciate your aloha, kindness, and most importantly, patience. Go for it.
So Allison Schaefer's with the Honolulu Star Advertiser. Earlier, there were a couple of sticks that were discussed to try to get us to the short-term rental conversions that we needed. Among those was a possible moratorium, as well as maybe tax increases for those that weren't participating. What benchmarks would we need to hit in order to, are there still, I guess my question is, are those still on the table? And if so, what benchmarks would we need to hit to avert either one of those, or are those going through regardless?
So I think if I could sum up the question, it's around a status update, if you will, on that moratorium and the tax incentive from the county.
Well, the tax increases if you don't participate.
Tax increases if you don't participate.
Well, one of the large purposes today was to show you this slide. And if we meet these milestones, it's very unlikely we'll need to invoke the moratorium on short-term rentals. You heard good news today, and we're giving you so much data. We have had some concern that some of the key points could get lost. One of the key things that's been shared was the fact that FEMA already has had 600 successful encounters to get people into contracts so that we can get people into long-term rental status, and another 1,000 that are kind of teed up. That alone, if we have great success there, really will meet most of that part of our priority. Again, we are not going to allow people to go without shelter or to become homeless. So we're going to update people every about 2 weeks, but it looks like we are good until March 1st at this rate already. And we would really like to have a long game on the way we address short-term rentals, which is give people an opportunity, if it's possible, for them to gradually transition from short-term rentals to long-term rentals permanently. You will see legislation from our administration this year that will give people some tax incentives if they transfer out of the short-term rental market and sell their home or lease their home to local families. It's going to be a signature part of what we work on for this year at the legislature.
As far as the county and in having to increase taxes, I'm glad we have some of the council here today. As we explained to them, it really depends on what our revenue loss is from those who participate in the program. You've heard multiple approaches to trying to get people into longer term housing. So it depends on whether or not we needed to use 2,700 short-term rentals to get that to happen. If we don't have to on our end, then that'll impact our loss of revenue. But if a big part of that is ours, I'll be going to the council asking for increase in taxes for all the other units that did not participate, so they can help by making up and shoring up that shortfall.
Mayor, do you know how much you're proposing to ask for, or would that depend on?
No, so it depends. The short-term rentals, the timeshares, and the non-owner occupied homes are taxed at different rates, approximately $5, $8, and $11 per $1,000 that they earn. So if they all come from one of the three, then that'll tell us what our lost revenue is. If they spread out between the three, obviously we got to do more math. But we're gonna figure, if we lose 20 million, for example, then we're gonna have to raise taxes that equal $20 million or more if it has to go to the recovery. But that's why we can't give you a number right now until we know how many people participated.
Would you be looking to raise taxes just on the short-term rentals that didn't participate to get to
No, those three categories that I just talked about. Yeah, that's correct.
To get to the 20 million?
Yeah, that's correct.
Final question will go to Chelsea Davis.
What's the plan for the previously homeless fire survivors? Is there any
Repeat one more time for me.
the plan for previously homeless fire survivors?
The Chelsea's question is around what's the plan for the previously homeless as a result of the Maui wildfires?
Thank you. So remaining households in the non-congregate sheltering program that were unable to provide verification that their primary dwelling was directly affected by the disaster is under 15 households, and they are all being connected with resources through community partners. Those efforts are ongoing, and I can't share complete information yet, but the hope is to connect them with temporary housing solutions as well as any medical needs that they might need. Yeah.
Can you tell us if we have a government shutdown, how that might affect
Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you. If there is in fact a government shutdown, which I'm sure everybody's hoping there isn't, how that might affect the distribution of funds and the ongoing programs from FEMA?
How would a government shutdown impact the distribution of funds?
FEMA is funded through what's called the Fund Code 6 line. That is no year money. Congress puts money into that, and if there's a FEMA shutdown, we're still able to keep the staff in the field and provide funds for the individuals and households program. There could potentially be some challenges with public assistance projects being funded, but for the people, for the survivors, there's no change in support.
So just we're going to close, Mayor and I. Please come, Mayor. The key today is collaboration. Thank you, everyone, for acknowledging this partnership. It is a lot of work, as was mentioned on several occasions, and a lot of complex work to provide care for people. And the mayor has been an extraordinary caring leader, and he has been aided by terrific people to bring us all together. So we're grateful for this hui. It will make a large difference.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again to all of our partners behind us, as well as those that are not with us right now, because there are many, many, many organizations that have put their hands together to help us with this. And I can't say thank you enough on behalf of our county. So, mahalo.
Mahalo, everyone. Hau'oli makahiki ho. That concludes our press. Sir.